Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for August 2nd, 2021. Well, it's hard to believe we're already into August this year, and it has been one challenging year of trading with lots of whipsaws and everything else. So hopefully you got some rest this weekend, and we're ready to face another week of data that could move us all over the place. First off, how about we grab ourselves something to drink? Let's settle into our office chairs and let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Well, good morning once again, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're all ready for a big week of data. Let's take a look at these charts and see if we can gain some information about how we might want to approach the market for today. First off, I have to say that although we had quite a little bit of pushing and shoving in the last week, we chopped in a rather wide range. I have to give this up to the bulls. I think this is a bullish and a bullish and healthy consolidation in this chart. We're holding up in here and we're just kind of resting in here on this consolidation. And that's probably a really good thing to spill off some of this volatility after this wild swing in the market. However, we do have some challenges here this week. We have lots of data coming our way. And we have the news, of course, that Congress missed the deadline for raising the debt ceiling, and that's creating some ripples in the market, may create a little bit of stress. I think everyone pretty much believes that Congress is just going to move right through and raise the debt ceiling. But of course, we have to provide a little bit of drama. Without the drama, what are they there for? And we could see some pushing around on that yet today. Now, let's take a look here. I think we're holding up very, very well. We're certainly well above our 50-day moving average, holding in here on price support. We have still had a little bit of challenge of being able to really break through and hold. We caught some new record highs. We printed some new record highs last week, but we just couldn't hold them into the close. So just a little bit of back and forth. But I think overall, once again, this is a very healthy consolidation. Now, the question is whether you trust this consolidation to be extremely bullish or not. And I can understand why you would be just a little bit cautious in here. We face an awful lot of data coming up this week, and we've been able to ignore a considerable amount of data with rising jobless numbers, rising COVID, all of those kind of things. We've been able to kind of shrug that off, but we'll want to keep an eye on that this week pretty closely. I'm going to say continue to remain bullish, stay with the trend, stay with the bullish trend, but be a little bit cautious and careful. Make sure you have plans to protect yourself should we find reason to push back. Let's take a look at the SPY now. SPY also very, very bullish. This is a very bullish consolidation. Nice little resting pattern in here. Nothing in this chart suggests bearishness. Stay with that trend. Stay with the market. Keep in mind that we do have with these debt ceiling and some inflationary numbers this morning and lots of jobs data coming later on this week. We do have some challenges for the market to face, but we right now are holding up very, very bullish in here, and I would stay with that trend for as long as it lasts. Let's take a look at the QQQ. Now, QQQ struggled along just a little bit, and of course, you know, the Amazon disappointment and a few others that have done extremely well. We have a little bit of back and forth here in the NASDAQ. But once again, I think overall, we got to say this is a very bullish consolidation in the chart. It's what we needed too. We needed that little bit of rest after that wild volatility in the market. So keep a close eye on that. As long as that holds up, I think we're in good shape. Stay with that trend. But once again, I want to just repeat, be careful not to become over complacent in this market. There are some clues out there that are giving us a little bit of concern, a little bit of just make sure you're prepared in case we start to do a little bit of selling. So watch that closely. And remember that August time frame is typically a pretty choppy time period in the market. That doesn't mean that it has to be this year, but typically we're in a rather choppy period of the market. So just keep that in mind. Let's take a look at our IWM. Now, IWM is a lot different than the other indexes. We are still challenged here in IWM. Notice we have a downtrend here. Now, we did break through that downtrend here this week, or excuse me, last week, holding up pretty well. We're trying to push back through to the upside. Let's keep an eye here, though, that we are still below our 50-day moving average here in IWM, and there is a tremendous amount of price consolidation or price resistance in this area to potentially keep us down below that level. However, with the way the market has been acting lately, it just doesn't matter. If they decide they want to push through, they'll just push right on through. But I still think IWM is the weakest of the indexes. I do think IWM will eventually see its 200-day moving average. So be a little bit careful here, and it might be worth watching IWM to give you some early warning clues if the market does decide to stumble in any way, shape, or form. Not suggesting that's going to happen. Just keep a close eye on it. Then let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX is one of those problems that we have in the market. We should, as we are testing or reaching out in 3 indexes, are within striking distance anyway of record highs. And though we are doing that, we are not breaking down here in our VIX. And we really should be. We really should be seeing the VIX slide significantly south in the market. So there is this little bit of concern here as that VIX holds up, still hanging in there even after Friday, that bullishness on Friday, holding up above its 50-day moving average. So there is a little bit of concern here. Now, if we look at some price levels in this chart, let's just notice that we're not in a terrible condition, but we do have reason to just really stay on our toes. We have resistance in this chart, significant resistance in the chart around that 20 handle. If we stay below that, I think we're going to be okay. If we maintain ourselves below this downtrend, I think we're going to be okay. However, we do want to pay attention to the fact that we are holding well above the lows of the VIX, and we are testing these levels up here. We have a little bit of upside trend going on in that VIX. So I think we have to stay on our toes. We really have to focus in on this price action. And though we have a lot of data coming this week, we could see a lot of fits and starts. So just be a little bit on guard with your trading. This is just suggesting don't become complacent in the market. Let's take a look at our T2122. Now, T2122 is the 4-week new high, new low ratio. And although we've been bouncing around up here in this higher range, we still have plenty of upside opportunity. And we're going to get on that bullish push this morning that could take us right up into here. We've one day last week when we printed some new record highs, but we didn't hold them. We were right up in here in that level, but pulled back by the end of the day. So keep in mind, we have upside opportunity if we can find the inspiration to do that. And certainly with all the earnings reports and economic data coming our way, that is possible. So watch that closely. And then also keep in mind, should we find reason to stumble, we have plenty of downside room as well here in IWM, or excuse me, in the the T2122. And just keep in mind, T2122 never tells us what direction the market's going to go. It just tells us where those pressures lie. Will we be able to push up into here or push down into here? We'll want to watch for that closely. And then if we take a look at our T2101, this guy still provides me a little bit of concern. Notice that as we try to push up, we're just not gaining a whole lot of breadth in the market. You know, we're up here near record highs, and we're just not seeing that big upside push. However, I do want to point out that, you know, if the markets are going to sell off, and I'm not suggesting that they are today or anytime soon, but if they are, we typically have some kind of a blow off top, and we haven't had that yet. But it's interesting to me that we just can't seem to get breadth, market breadth, really pushing at all. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to be keeping a close eye on. Just a little bit of concern here as we try to press on through to more highs in the market. Let's take a look at our economic calendar for today. In our economic calendar, we do have a couple of things with some key inflation data that will be coming in today. First off, notice that PMI, producer prices, will be coming out this morning. We'll want to keep an eye on that chart, or on that. We're also going to be hearing from ISM. Now this number could move us more than the PMI, but we'll want to keep an eye on both of those. And then construction spending later on this morning, unlikely to probably move us around. We'll be really focused on everything else. As we progress through the week, notice we've got motor vehicle sales, factory orders, kind of a light day on Tuesday, but then we start running into this jobs data part of the week where we're going to hit ADP. We're going to have jobless claims on Thursday, and then that big employment situation number on Friday. And I think this will be pretty key this week, whether or not we're able to advance or if we run into a little bit of trouble. So watch that closely, and don't be too surprised if we by Wednesday or even early Tuesday, we start getting into more of a choppy market condition, just kind of up and down as we wait on that Friday number. It's fairly common that occurs, so watch that close. So let's also take a look at our earnings calendar. Now keep in mind, guys, on the earnings calendar, this is going to be a very, that's the blog. This is going to be a very, very busy week. About 2/3 of the S&P 500 reports this week, so we'll really have to stay on our toes. If you want to catch the notables, make sure and click the link just below the title of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog, and you can check out some of those notables that I've listed for today. I'll cover a few here this morning. Take a look. We've got CVI. CVI will be reporting today. Keep an eye on that chart. FANG. There we go. We'll be reporting today. We'll want to keep an eye on that chart. We also will be hearing from Mosaic today. We'll be hearing from OIH. Okay. OHI. We'll be hearing from that. We'll be hearing from TTWO. We've got RIG on that list today. So we've got quite a few companies out there reporting. We'll want to keep a close eye on that as they move along. And early this morning, we had HSBC that just had blowout earnings this morning, but just are not showing a real bullish move as a result of that. So keep a close eye on these stocks. How about we take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today? But before we do that, guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and then also click that bell icon when it pops up, so you'll be notified every time I post one of these videos. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who does take the time to do that. You guys are responsible for the growth of this channel. It does take a lot of work to put out a daily video, but I can't grow without your support. And if you continue to click those thumbs up buttons, leaving those brief comments, it helps the algorithm show these videos to more folks. And I just want to say thanks to, once again, everyone who takes the time to do that. And once again, thank you so much to everyone who's supporting the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link. You guys are awesome. It's just right below the title of the video. You can click on that, support the channel this way, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up. And just realize, guys, that these are not stocks that are it's not a recommendation to buy or sell any security. As a matter of fact, everyone needs to do your own due diligence. Make sure that you understand the risks of these trades and make sure you're following your rules. It is never, ever a good idea to blindly follow someone else's trade. Let's take a look at some of these defensive sector stocks that have been holding up pretty darn well. Take a look at Coca-Cola. I better go to a daily chart here. Coca-Cola trying to pop this morning, but pulling back. We got that dated news this morning that Janet Yellen is going to have to go into extraordinary measures because Congress missed on the debt ceiling deadline. So we've got a little pullback going on in here, but let's watch this. This has been consolidating up here, moving over toward this trend. And I gotta say, looking overall pretty well, pretty healthy in here. So watch that carefully. I don't know when it might go, but let's keep a close eye on it. You might also want to be keeping a close eye on like PepsiCo. PepsiCo has been doing quite well in a nice little rest and consolidation, holding up in here very nicely and looking pretty healthy. So keep a close eye on PepsiCo. Some of those, just those old boring stocks that are holding up quite well. Considering old boring stocks, you might want to take a look and have Procter & Gamble on your list. They had a really good earnings report on Friday, popping up and pulling back. Now, I think any rest or consolidation in here that holds this trend and holds that price support could set up an opportunity for upside move. So keep Procter & Gamble on your list. It's looking pretty darn good. I'm going to put Chewy on that list again. Now, Chewy pulled back from this resistance level in the chart, but I still think there may be, if we can find a little bit of reason for bullishness here in the market. We've just been resting, consolidating, and this has kind of slipped back a little bit. Watch for that opportunity. If we can hold some of this support in here and find that inspiration, we could certainly see Chewy move right on up through there. And notice that we have a pretty big head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders pattern that is formed up on that chart. So keep a close eye on it. Take a look at ILMN. ILMN, nice little bullish pattern here. Now we're dealing with some resistance over here, but notice this nice little consolidating move in here. It's been very bullish. It's been very productive. Watch for that and see if that can push on through to the upside. I think that looks pretty good overall. You might want to take a look at SQ today. Now, SQ was in the news with a big buyout, and although we're pushing back here this morning in the pre-market because of that buyout, this looks to be a very productive buyout for them. So watch this. If it can hold some support, may come around, start doing something here soon, but watch that close. I'm going to go with DOCU. DOCU has been in a very, very bullish pattern, holding up in a nice little resting consolidation. Notice that we've got a nice little trend running here in the chart, holding up. So keep a close eye on that as that approaches this trend area over here. That may just get ready to test this area of price support and break right through to the upside. So watch DOCU. I also have to put DKNG on that list. Now, DraftKings has pulled back the last few days, but I think this is off to a bullish start. We're breaking that downtrend, and notice that we run through some price resistance and we're holding it as support. So breaking that downtrend, holding support right in here, I want to watch for that opportunity that could perk up in here in that chart. Watch that closely. Looking pretty good overall if we can hold that level. Take a look at IBM. Now, IBM is not looking so healthy here overall. Notice we have this big downtrend in this chart going on, and we've broken down, and we may be coming into a bit of a short pattern here. Watch this right in here. If we were to fail this price support, there could be some short here coming up in IBM. Worth keeping an eye on. Take a look at Merck. Merck is holding up pretty well. This has been bouncing around quite a bit in this little range bound area, but we're still holding up overall in a nice upside trend. There's that trend holding up quite well in this area. There is that opportunity that could push on through to the upside. Last but not least, let me talk a little bit about some of the metals. Take a look at Steel Dynamics. Steel Dynamics really shot up this week and pushed through some price resistance, and albeit we have price resistance above that still has to get through. But there was news out that Chinese government is trying to pull back on its production levels in steel. So watch that closely. That could put a little bit more upside pressure in some of these steel stocks. Watch that closely. Steel Dynamics looking good. May have that opportunity to push on through that resistance. And if you take a look at some of the others, take a look at MT. MT made that move already last week, blowing through that resistance high and now getting just a little bit of a resting pullback in here. Watch that for that next opportunity if that can find a little bit of energy to push on through. You might take a look at US Steel. US Steel broke through some downtrend here, breaking into some resistance areas. We do have resistance right here that we need to deal with, but if we can pop through and hold up here, US Steel looking pretty good. And then last but not least, on the metals front, you might want to take a look at FCX. If we are going to pass this infrastructure bill, we're going to need quite a little bit of copper, and copper supplies are actually quite low. And so here we are breaking this downtrend, breaking back through a little bit of price resistance in the chart to hold it as support. So watch this in here. If that can hold in this area, we may easily push right on up here into this next resistance area of the chart. So keep an eye on FCX. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Everyone, take care. We'll see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. I wish you all the best.